This is Brittany from Imagine This, a music and art studio for both children and adults, and today we are going over Art 3's lesson of body proportions, and today we are continuing with eyes. Now, as we continue on, we'll go on with other such subjects, going on to the nose and mouth, but this week we are going to focus on the eyes, because they are the portal to the soul and the most noticeable thing on someone's face. So, first thing you will need is a pencil. You should have one of these laying around the house, and a piece of paper. And that should be all you need. Now, before we begin, I just want you to know that you need to practice. What you're going to do first is not going to be perfect, but as our good friend Bob Ross once said, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. It takes a long time to learn how to do eyes, so don't get discouraged. Okay, so let's get started. So let's review first. So we've talked about regular proportions of the head before, starting off with a circle and going down and forming a chin off of that. Now just to quickly review the eye proportion really quickly. So you have, your eyes are about halfway from the top of your head to your chin. Now what's really important to know is that you should be able to fit 5 eyes on your face going from one side to the other. That doesn't mean you have to draw them on the face, it just proportionally that's how many there are. But what is most important, and what I find most important, is knowing that there needs to be at least 1 eye width between your 2 eyes that you will be drawing. Now just remember this as you draw 2 eyes. So something like this, I'm going to slightly cartoonize them, but at least an eye's width between your 2 eyes. So now let's go into the specifics of the eye. So I'm just going to go off to the side over here. Now starting off with an eye, I like to keep things really simple, so what I'll do first is draw a very loose sort of oval sideways shape, almost like a little potato. Then what I do, now people have different eyes depending on what nationality or culture they're from, but right now we're just going to cover the basics and then we'll give you some exercises to see and challenge you into drawing different eyes for different people. But for now we're just covering the generals. So I'm going to go at the top. This is where I'm most comfortable starting, right here at the top. I'm going to curve this down to meet the corner of your inner eye, almost creating a football shape in a way. And bring down the back a bit, curving it again like a football shape. And it doesn't have to be a super hard curve. This is just covering generals again. Okay, now you'll notice just doing that, we're already starting to see a little bit more of an eye shape coming in right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this inner corner and I'm going to create just a very small crevice or little bump right here. This is the inner corner of your eye, and it's not very illustrated all the time because it's all pink and squishy and people don't like drawing it. But it's important to know for drawing realistically. Then what you're going to do is basically kind of reflect the top on the bottom, just slightly curving down, very small bump, meeting up with the other corner of your eye, the outer corner. Okay, so now we have a basic eye shape right here. What we're going to do now is we're going to emphasize the outside eyelid as well, just to help build up that realism before we go in and do the pupil and everything else. So typically where you start with the eyelid is you go a little bit up from the inner eye, about right here, or if not at the very corner of the eye. And you're going to basically trace over this top area of the eye, just closely following it. And again, it changes on the different expressions you do. I'm just going to do it very closely, having it almost meet up towards the end of the outer eye. So there we have our eyelid. I'm just going to go back over the top and darken that a little bit. And now we're going to do the inside of the eye. Now the inside of the eye is a circle for all the color and the pupil and everything. Now you can change where you have the eye. We can have it looking over here, over here. Generally, if you're looking straight on, the circle should be able to fit between the top and bottom of your eye. So about this big. Now, again, it could change. This could be a very alarmed person, very wide-eyed. But generally, you want to try and get this to fit in between the top and bottom of the eye. And this is the iris where the color will be. And now we need to draw the pupil, which is the dark part of the eye. All right, And wherever the eye is pointed, so I'm looking straight up at y'all or straight up, is where the pupil's going to be as well. If I had the eye more over here and more hidden, then I would move the pupil, but right now, let's just have it right in the middle. And now pupils can change their sizes depending on the person's state. So if someone's alarmed, their eyes could be really huge and their pupil could take up most of their eye. Or if they're very calm, it could be very much smaller. So just think about that when you're drawing an eye. What state is the person in? Are they alarmed? If they're more alarmed, I'd probably do something like this. A very big eye, very concentrated. But if you want someone more relaxed, I would suggest doing a smaller pupil inside of a smaller eye. So we kind of have an alarmed eye look going on right now. All right, so now we have the basics of the eye right here. And it's starting to look a little realistic, but we need to add a little more detail in order to really make it pop and make it appear realistic. So I'm going to go over eyelashes real quick. Now, number one thing with eyelashes, I'm not going to draw it right on here, is not to do very thick, rigid, straight lines from the eye. You get more cartoonesque or just very fake look with that. And eyelashes aren't necessarily straight off of the eye. They curl and go up from the eye. So just remember this. So starting from the inner corner, the eyelashes here tend to be smaller and they curl more towards the inner of your eye. It changes depending on where it is on the eye. So I'm just going to curl these eyelashes going downward and then up. I don't want them to be super dark, but I'm going to darken them just a little bit so they're more visible on camera. You can make them as long as short as you want. I know some people who barely have any eyelashes at all, and then some people who have the most thick, beautiful lashes I've ever seen. Just remember, add that curve in there to give the illusion that they come out from the eye rather than just going straight, because straight does not do it for realistic eye drawings. I'm just going to thicken these eyelashes up just a bit. Okay, and then the eye is never actually perfectly white. Usually there's some shading going on within the eye. So what I'm going to do is go just underneath the lashes and add just a bit of shading to show that they are casting a shadow over my eye. And you can use your pencil or your finger to really smooth out those lines. Now with realistic drawing, shading oftentimes is the key to really making it pop. All right, now if we're doing the middle of the eye, what you want to think of is where is the light source coming from as well, because that depends on how light or dark certain areas of the eye will be. So the way I have it cast is the light is coming more from up above, casting a shadow of the lashes, which means that we will have a bit of highlight about right here and over here. I'm just marking very lightly. And so oftentimes, depending on how in-depth you want to get, what I do is I just do very small detailed lines to show the color. Smudge them a bit so they blend into the eye just a little bit more. Darken the pupil a bit. Make it a little bit darker in those darker areas of the eye that you can't really see. Then a little lighter on this side. Just going to smudge that in a bit, emphasize the outside of the eye, emphasize the inside. Then I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to create a little bit of highlight within the eye because eyes are very reflective. So I said I'm going to have a little highlight over here, just taking my eraser. It doesn't have to be a netted one. If anything, if you have a more firm one, that could be helpful too. Netted erasers are just good for getting those lighter pigments off easily without creating markings. Maybe I want a little highlight down here and one just slightly inside of my pupil. All right. And then of course you have bottom lashes as well. Now remember, we're not doing straight lines, we are doing curved lines going out from the eye. And I'm going to darken them a bit so they're more visible to you, as if the person's wearing mascara. Maybe they just have those nice thick lashes I was talking about earlier. I'm just gonna go over a few areas. And there's also an outer edge to your eye, just like there is an inner one. It's not as obvious, but I'm just going to draw a slight curve in this corner and darken it ever so slightly, just so you know that the eye is rounded. Your eyeball is a perfect circle within your body, but you don't see all of it because of your eyelids and the way your body was made. Just going to darken this up here, just a little more contrast. Then maybe go over the eyelid a bit just to get some more highlighting in there. Then finally, you have a small lid just underneath your lashes here. So I'm just going to draw this. You can do this before or after you do your lashes. I choose to do it a little bit afterwards. The eyelashes provide a little bit of a guide for me personally, but you're free to do it any way you choose. Okay, so there we have an eye. Now the specific way I drew the eye, more open, makes them seem more alarmed and alert. But there are different ways you can draw an eye. You can draw the much lower and slanted. Maybe it's someone of Asian ethnicity or someone just who's really calm, not very worried. Maybe change up their eyelid position as well. And I'm just doing it really fast just to show you how you can change the expression. A little bit smaller in the eye, maybe looking up. Kind of a romantic feel to it. But there are several different things you can do within the eye just to change how a person looks or what emotions they're conveying. So what we would like you to try to do is follow along and create your own emotions with eyes. At the very end of this video, we are going to have different examples of different eyes conveying different emotions. I would like you to try and see how the emotions change when the eyes change. Alright, so that is all we have today. Please enjoy the exercise at the end. We should have different emotions. We would like to have you do about 3 of the different emotions just to get a good range of how to do eyes and their different emotings. But that's all for now. Have a good day, and we'd love to see your images.